job, Village of Crooksville. Lace, what you got for us, Stephen?
Up first, we've got Melissa and Jenny with the Complete Streets.
Okay. We're revisiting, I think it was last November we were here to visit with the council and address you concerning complete street projects for the village. So we wanted to return. So what we basically did was the Village of Crooksville Complete Streets Policy. It would be dated, if you guys should choose to go this route, it would be your current date and passage and items in there. So the language in there, we would do accomplishments based on your village, what you've been able to accomplish, and list things in here pertaining directly to the Village of Crooksville. The Complete Streets handout that we give you here, it explains the purpose and the policies about Complete Streets. What our standpoint is, we are going to be moving to bring in shelters, covered shelters to the village when we do the red loop, which is going to loop Crooksville into New Lexington. For those of you that probably already know, we have the loop going, the connector going right now with public transit that loops Somerset and New Lexington. We just started the purple loop, which is connecting New Straitsville, Shawnee, and Corning into New Lexington. Remember, the connectors will overlap each other. We plan on adding the red loop, which is going to connect 6 Mile Turn, the Village of Crooksville, into New Lexington. And it will overlap those loops, so basically you can travel anywhere within the county where we've got the loops connecting each other. The problem with we're putting shelters out into your community and we don't have infrastructure that's really appropriate for a pedestrian or a bicyclist or someone in a wheelchair to have accessibility to be able to travel about and gain access to public transportation. So we not only do we highly encourage it for a number of reasons for complete street policies, but basically it is making those structures in the future. A lot of, we've about got Shawnee on board and signing theirs. We're introducing to New Straitsville. We've got Somerset, New Lexington, Thornville, Junction City. They've approved their complete street policies that pertain to their village and their needs there. So with our goal is to get every municipality in Perry County signed on to complete streets. There's a number of reasons doing that in addition to public transportation and people increasing the number of pedestrian traffic, bicycle traffic, people on your streets and within your communities. So I'll let Jen talk some too for their benefit about the health benefit of the activities.
Well, with your citizens out walking and on good sidewalks, it just makes them healthier, more in touch with their neighborhoods. And it also helps you to have a starting point to correcting problems that we had missed in the past, so that if a utility company comes in and replaces a line underneath of a sidewalk, when they put it back as a complete street, so that it has the handicapped access, the crosswalks, and we do that as we rebuild or redo a street. And then that way, it's included into the project, and it's not really an extra fee, it's a part of the project. You determine with each project what side of the street may get a sidewalk. Both sides may not, but at least if you have one that can connect to another, your citizens can get around a lot better. And I'm sure, as you notice, there are a lot more walking citizens today than there was 10 years ago. And with the infrastructure that is coming, we want to be able to have people be able to get to that safely and make it in a center point of town so that they can reach it. And it also helps attract new businesses to your community. Sidewalks increase your property values. And so it just works all together to beautify your community and make it walkable. I have seen sidewalks grow in Thornville and Somerset mostly so far, but I see other communities that will utilize this as their highways get paved and such. Now, I know you don't have a highway right in your village, but someday you might want to connect your village to the school through a side, like a bike route or something, or even a walking route if people want to walk out there. So, that's a bit ambitious, but it is a thought to the future. If your village grows, it might expand that way, and you could add that in. But it's just a great place to start. And I'd just like to ask if anyone can maybe tell me what might be holding you back from not moving forward with a policy like this? Is there something that you've heard, or have you talked to anyone else about a complete streets policy?
Nothing bothers me about it. Seems all right.
I've reviewed, I'm okay with it myself. I think it's needed, a policy like this is needed in the village.
I didn't know if your solicitor had looked at it at all, for any reason, or do you do that usually?
Yeah, it's something we would do. I don't believe she's looked at it.
Okay.
I know sometimes there's reservations because people aren't quite sure what all it entails, but I know one of our villages, the Habitat for Humanity was building a new residential home within their village. There was nothing about a sidewalk or having accessibility in this particular lot that they purchased for it. So then, once the village council approved this, they did go out and meet with them. They had no idea, so therefore, like, it's the day of approval going forward. So it's not, you don't go knocking door to door
Right.
for the previous structures that are not appropriate at that point. But you guys have grown, you've had business growth over here in Crooksville. So what happens if there's additional business growth, which everybody likes to see that, but then there's no sidewalk structures or there's not availability to be able, for people to access that. So that's always another, thing that you have to think about is what your future growth is going to be. And basically it does, not only is it sidewalks, it's pedestrian markings and beacons and things of that nature that's appropriate for the neighborhoods. So it's an improvement. It does help when you go to advance or you go to have paving projects or to acquire money and funding. They're gonna ask you, do you have a complete streets policy in place? So if you're answering that no, then other municipalities can be moved ahead of you in scoring, if it comes down to a scoring project that you're applying for.
Is there a deadline for us adopting this that you have?
No, we don't set a deadline. We started with Shawnee a couple weeks before you guys last fall. It was late October, early November. And Shawnee is just now, we've done our third visit with them. Their solicitor has it and they're looking to adopt it and put it into place.
And you can always call the other villages, in Perry County that have the policy if you'd like, and just see if it's helped them and maybe how it's helped them to benefit their communities. We do appreciate your time.
Does anybody have any questions or concerns that you would like to ask of us or additionally to discuss this?
I'd like to see us get it to the solicitor and then, proceed forward with it and, adopt the policy.
And we can always come to answer any questions if you do have some in the future.
Right. We just, as a part, we try to tie the complete streets into with public transportation because we don't want to encourage folks to come to our connectors or come to the loop walking in the roadways. We don't want to increase, so we want to try to keep that safety measure. So it's a safety issue for us as well. We're increasing people to come use the loop free, and we don't want them walking in the streets. We don't want them crossing in inappropriate, becoming a hazard. When we're encouraging folks to become active.
You designated an area that you're going to do to pick up.
We have designated one area that the one shelter will be located at. There, you're probably going to receive two shelters. One area is the old school up here in the cemetery where Integrated Services is going to be having a building complex for housing.
Yeah.
That's one will be going there for the fact of children being there and that. So the other one, when we talk about a loop, what they're looking at is coming in on the other, coming in through Crooksville.
South Crooksville.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the loop would include the trailer court, the housing division, and it comes down, I don't know the exact order, but then it ends up over at Ross, it ends up at PCC Airfoils through the park and back down here through the businesses. It ends on top of the hill where this building is going to be, and then it's off to New Lex. So now that can be modified based upon needs. It can be changes made to it. So that other shelter would basically be where's a hot spot that would be good and appropriate for it within the village.
In relation to mobility, I've received a email today from Cheryl Boley about a letter of support for the mobility.
What, was it the one for the electric vehicles and completely refurbishing the public transit? Yes. So what has happened is the federal government has recognized Perry County to receive an enormous amount of money for the electric vehicles and the maintenance structures to go with that. So when we gain these letters of support from the people in the communities, that's going to be electric charging stations. So those will be located throughout the communities. The electric vehicles will be on board. Basically, the loop that ODOT piloted us with is 0 and 0, meaning 0 emissions once the vehicles are received, because we know that vehicles
Right.
are on a back order and backlog. So it'll be 0 emissions and 0 cost to the person to be able to get on the loop.
Now, are you looking for letters of support for all the places where you have the stations, the pickup stations? You know, I mean, where are you going to put these pickup points?
That's as I had just said, the pickup points is going to be, and they stage 5 minutes at each of these locations and keep moving. So it's not like our typical door-to-door service where we're pulling up in front of your residence and you're loading. Basically, you have to present yourself at these pickup locations that are designated, or a shelter, and you board and go to whatever destination that you would wish to be able to arrive at.
Okay, great.
But that letter, we'll take any and all letters and from everyone we can, because it's vitally important for us to be able to collect those letters. If we don't follow through with it, it will go to another city, another state, it'll go somewhere. So we may as well tap in and get ours while we can.
And it reduces the emissions in Perry County.
It does.
And our citizens can still get around by,
And it will place, and here's the good thing about it, it places electric charging stations out in the communities where that cost is already absorbed through transit dollars. Because they're at public use.
Great, thank you.
So,
any other questions?
if we need to return, Lacey, you have our email address. If there's questions, if there's anything that you guys wish to know or wish for us to return again, please shoot us email. We'll be glad to come back out and talk again about it too.
Well, not loop, I think, it's just my personal opinion, but I
Mhm.
think one of the stops should be somewhere located out by where the home health is, or right there, as you're talking Brown Circle, you're talking low-income housing.
That's where
Yeah,
they're
that's what I'm
they're
going
coming
with.
into the south
Yeah.
end.
But you need a stop there.
Right.
You need a shelter.
Yeah.
They're only gonna stop at shelters, is that what you're
No,
telling me?
No.
no, that is not correct.
Okay.
It will make the stops at hotspots in the community.
And there'll be a number, a sign
There'll be a sign.
that says pick
There
up
will be a
number.
sign that there's no shelter. It's designated, it was signage, that this is a pickup point 6 on the red loop.
Okay.
So, just like New Lexington and Somerset, right now, we only have 3 shelters in place for those particular ones. And there's probably 9 stops on that circular.
My mind was telling me you was only gonna stop at
No.
the shelter.
No.
Wherever we
Sorry.
put the shelter, somebody's gonna have to walk a long way
No.
to get to the shelter.
Well, we don't want that either.
No,
We just-
no. And you know, I start thinking about the shelters and what really is the hotspot is this area from here where the Domino's and the strip mall and those items there. But in regulation, you don't want people crossing and going up to a shelter on the other side
Right,
of the road. That's
no,
not
you-
safe. So that's a
That
disconnect.
one there's, that one's.
Right. Right, but
Well, that's for the children and that's where the,
there's substantial reason
Right.
behind that being put into there. But, you know, where else in your community? You guys are the ones over here. I just see it driving in and see customers and I see people. So your community, you know where a good spot would be.
Is it possible to get more shelters later?
It is later, because they're all in a phase. So we're on phase 2 of it now for shelters. With we just located one in New Straitsville, and one will go into Corning. So not every community is receiving a shelter. Not every community is going to receive additional shelters.
Okay.
So
And I know there is a senior housing over on the other side of town near,
Buckeyes.
Yeah.
Taylor Street.
yes, yes.
Yes.
210
so
Taylor.
that might be a hot spot.
That's not seniors.
it's just an
Okay,
age review.
thank you. Okay.
It was formerly seniors.
Started out.
Formerly that started out that way.
It
Yeah.
used to be age-based, now it's just income-based.
Okay. Gotcha.
By the fire department.
Yeah.
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 All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time. Thanks so
Thank
much
you.
for getting us in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Jeff, you wanna go? Kate?
I'll just start. I don't have much of over to you and then, of course, Kate, but one of the quick thank you for filling out the applications and completing that. One question, who are the three, was it three?
The planners,
Yeah.
the three planners.
Yes.
We had American Structure Point, OHM, and IBI Group.
I think good choices. You know, I don't know of much else, but I know Kate, hopefully, do you have any update for us on?
I think that everyone is on the right track. I know that y'all had some people going down and joining virtually to some of the meetings that Buckeye Hills was holding. So definitely staying apprised of when those are going to be held, and keeping up with any newsletters that we have coming out. We're hoping, fingers crossed, you know how the state government works, that we have an approved list of projects, which would be the projects that we submitted for Crooksville by, I think, next week. I think the controlling board meets next week sometime. So after the state controlling board approves those, then we'll be able to hit the ground running. So yeah, it's good you got that form in. So basically, like, you have the form in. As soon as we get the approval from the state, like, we'll be able to pick right back up where we left off. Like, the village will be able to explore some of their projects, and then, like, all the business owners will be able to continue to work with American Structure Point to move forward on some of the services that they outlined in that document that they gave us. So,
Now, is there any other grants that businesses or the village can be working together with? I know that Somerset, I heard, has already secured $3 million for their makerspace on
Yeah.
another grant.
So
So,
I'm
They did.
really looking forward to Preston with Morpsey. He led the application for the BREC, which is the NACO Building Resilient Economies Beyond Coal or something like that. Long acronyms. I can't remember them all. But basically that is like a cohort of people from Perry County. We'll be meeting with some consultants to work through an economic diversification plan. I'm really excited about that, and I think that will be really helpful, and especially like really insightful for some of the business owners here in town to really allow us to like target what type of businesses we're wanting to do next in Crooksville. So like, yeah, just like what will work well there. So I'm really looking forward to that one, but like I'm constantly like keeping my eyeballs peeled for any other types of grants and stuff like that.
and then you would be, who would be your, you go to, what, Lacey? Or, and the businesses, I mean, how's it work?
The BREC.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think, Lacey, are you on those emails?
I am.
Okay, perfect. Yep, so Lacey's involved. Fred, are you involved with that? Okay, so we got two folks from Crooksville. I myself am involved with Buckeye Hills. I helped Preston write a couple of the sections of the application. But then, so like we'll just be in those meetings every month, and we'll be putting in our input, like definitely taking input from you guys and then taking that into those meetings, and making sure that Crooksville is well represented in that plan.
there's somebody else, I don't know if everybody, he was introduced from, referral from John Lewis, but Joshua, would you introduce yourself? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I actually did speak to them
Yeah.
this last
Okay,
week, I think
yes.
it was, but Joshua Stamper, everyone, I'm hoping to open up a coffee shop here in town. I also work with trauma, I work with FEMA, Salvation Army, and the U.S. government in various capacities doing that. And one of the visions we have here is to help increase Crooksville's commerce by installing a coffee shop that really helps the town out, hoping to be on a spot somewhere, whether we're in the historic district downtown or else here on the highway, where we can, by increasing the property's looks, increase Crooksville's appeal in a way, draw maybe other businesses, and we also have a lot of different contacts with government, healthcare, and even internationally. And so that's our goal. So really good coffee. We've got some coffee plantations lined up who are going to help us be supporting ministries overseas, and overall helping Crooksville and working with people who need help. And so that's our goal, and we're wanting to get along and be on board with this project, and we're happy to help in any way we can using any of our connections that we have to be able to help move this project forward and get our grant money and what we need, so.
Now, Melissa, from the library, of course, do you have anything to say or interest? Or
I am just here to listen and support. So, wrote a lot of support letters
Yes.
through the process, and however we can play a part in the growth of downtown revitalization. We are happy to be community partners with all of you. So,
Now, back to you guys, is there anything that we can do, or what your activity or plans or progress that you can help?
I think really we're just waiting to find out
And then
where the money, if we're gonna get any, I think that's what we're waiting on, is just to find out.
Yay, state government. It moves so fast.
Wait and see.
state's not bad. Wait till you deal with federal.
Oh, I deal with all of it.
Federal's
Oh,
way worse than
That's where the
state.
money came from.
Yeah.
So beyond ACGP, I do need to make a plug. So I am managing a US EPA Brownfields assessment grant at Buckeye Hills. I'm not sure if there's any properties that are located within here in town that would fall under that. Like we could do phase 1 studies, phase 2s, cleanup plans. We could also do like lead and asbestos abatement. So just kind of like putting that out there that Buckeye Hills has the money right now. And, selfishly, of course, I would like to get some money into Crooksville. So, putting that on your radar. We have some public meetings coming up. There was a couple press releases that were sent out here, I think, today from Buckeye Hills. So, and of course, you could always ask me as well. So, definitely want to put that out there. We want to spend as much of this US EPA Brownfields money as we can.
And what's the status of the East School building? I mean, is it,
Still
Weather
waiting to hit the ground.
weather delays and manpower issues, they're telling me the week after Easter now.
but it's done deal and
Yeah.
all set and all that, so.
Yeah.
But
They've already done the
Brownfield
asbestos
falls
abatement.
into that type of grant, or? what?
Yeah, so we would just do like the planning side of things, like not the actual demolition or remediation, like taking storage tanks out of the ground or whatever, but like properties that are hazardous. So like, there are, I think I've seen a few like abandoned gas station type of deals. There's the one on China Street, right there, like in between the ice cream shop and Ruff's. I don't know what the deal with that is. I don't know what Steve's doing with the large PCC building, but I'm sure that probably has some contaminants of some sort, and we wouldn't have to demo his building, but we could get the contaminants out, or at least plan to get them out.
Is he aware of it? I know PCC, I thought at one time was involved in the brownfield.
So they already have it done, okay.
No, I don't know for sure, but
Right.
yeah, I'm just, so we're not sure if Steve's even aware of it.
Right, or if he even wants help. I mean, it's his property, I can't tell him what to do with it, but,
It should be brought up.
yeah, just so he's aware, like, we don't have to tear it down, but if he's got contaminants in there that he wants out, I mean, we can help with that.
Now, what if he's scared, meaning you find contaminants?
So as far as I know, if he did not operate PCC airfoils, then he wouldn't be at fault.
Yeah,
So
not
yeah.
responsible for
Yeah,
it.
he's not responsible. It would have already been there. So yeah, but like it could be like former mechanic shops, like dry cleaners, like anything you could think of, old houses that have lead and asbestos in them. Like, yeah, brownfields covers a lot of things.
Residential or commercial?
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. So I know the city has to get together. I was at regional council, I think it was this Friday or Thursday, and we have to get the projects together. But what about us, the business owners and the organizations? What do we need to do to be ready so that when we get the projects compiled to present for the grant money, what do we need to have ready? Is there anything? like
Is this for
qualifications?
the ACGP, the Appalachian Community Grant Program, or?
Yeah, more so looking at that. Yeah.
So I mean, like, we're already doing everything we need to do. So, like, Village has folks, I know Jeff and some other people has gone down to Buckeye Hills and Marietta and has attended some of our meetings, attended some of the Zoom meetings. So, but beyond that, like, whenever it does come time to actually move forward with things, Buckeye Hills, and tandem with everyone else, will match you with like the correct consultant, and then like the consultant will meet with you and kind of
So
take it from there.
will those send consultants individually to every one of us, or how's that work?
So the village submitted their form for theirs, so they'll probably have the three options of the three that they submitted.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Mhm.
Okay.
And we've already had structure point come through once, so that's a
Yep.
good.
Yeah, they've already been.
Yep,
And
so at
then
least for the
you've had
business
them
owners.
too, right? And-
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why we put them on top of the list. They're already familiar with some of the buildings and the business owners in town, so we left that alone. Then we picked up a couple of the other ones because they've done other projects in and around our area, so they're familiar with southeastern Ohio. OMH, they've done a project or two in Athens and a couple in Zanesville. So.
Good. Okay, anybody else?
I have a question for Kate. I got an email about the deadline for the project profiles.
Yes.
That does not relate to this American Appalachian Community Grant.
No,
It's
there are
separate.
two- yeah,
Could
there
you
are two
explain
separate
that to us and council about the importance of having those project profiles in by March 31st?
Yes, so the project profiles would be a pre-application for Appalachian Regional Commission grant applications. So there's a few different grant types that they have, like they can assist with like implementing infrastructure. I think they do like a lot of water and sewer projects. They do a lot of like community building projects as well. Their website, ARC, they have like a pretty good list of all of the different types of projects that they take. Our website as well, but the project profiles is basically that pre-application. So you would put your project into the project profile. It'll come to us at Buckeye Hills, and then we'll review it from there into matchmaking with grant sources.
Would it be advisable to go ahead and fill those profiles out for the other, for projects we've already submitted under this Appalachian Community Grant?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think that you could ever put your, projects in too many buckets. So, yeah, I think that would be a good idea in case something falls through with ACGP, because, submitting a project profile, we also consider other funding sources as well. That's how we got an EDA grant in Monroe County to put in water infrastructure, because they submitted a project profile hoping to get ARC funding, but we identified EDA as a better funding source. So, submit all of your projects. That's what I keep telling everybody. Just submit them all, and we'll try our best to do as much matchmaking as we can. It's the purpose of them is that pre-application for ARC, but we also do our best to, maybe attach it to something else.
Great.
Anybody else? Lou? Jamie? Austin? So we're just on a waiting.
Yep, to the state controlling board, and I think that they meet, it may have even been today, I don't remember, but it's it may have been today. I don't know, we'll just kind of keep our ears peeled, see what happens.
Between emails and stuff, we'll know when to come back or what to do, so everybody, but we just can't give up. We just gotta keep at it, so, thank you for having us.
I went to the meeting with Jeff at Marietta, and it kind of blew my mind because there was a lot of people from Perry County, which was great, but some of the stuff was very big stuff. I mean, it was like Marietta the college wants to put in a dorms with this money, and it's
Sure.
downtown revitalization it doesn't click, but I mean, I hope the grant money gets here. I'm not. I'd rather see it go to the village and we can do something with the streets than it go to me. I would rather, I'll work at my stuff, but I want it to go for the village. I really do.
Appreciate that,
And
Joe.
what
Yeah.
Joe was talking about is other villages are in the same spot we are. They're confused and behind and don't know where to start. So we just got to keep at it, and not give up, and if we get turned down, we just go for something else. We just keep going. So
Kate, do you know how long Buckeye Hills keeps these project profiles we've had for years trying to get done, like our China Street flood control project?
I mean, we typically only review the ones from year to year.
Okay.
So, like, yeah, it'd probably be helpful to just resubmit it. That way it's like back in our frame of, yeah.
All right.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to say?
Keep your fingers crossed we get some money.
Yes.
The only thing I'd have to add is that we have to have a plan B to fall back on. And this, when I read about those project profiles, I thought, well, that's a good alternate plan we have to have so that if there is other funding available, it will surface through Buckeye Hills if we submit those plans.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming.
Absolutely.
Drawbacks on the state street. Drawback.
Sorry, Bill, I didn't hear you.
Just regulates what you gotta do. If you tear it out, you gotta put it back to current standards. You gotta put crosswalk things in. You gotta do everything.
The guy that makes it.
It's ADA compliance, that's regulated that way. And then if somebody says they go out there and they build a house on, I don't know, pick a lot somewhere that doesn't have a sidewalk, they're required to put in a sidewalk as part of their home project or building project. That's what that's requiring. That's what it's saying you have to do. It's kind of regulating it and forcing someone to put more skin in the game, really.
I think it'd be great for the community to have the buses come through. I think it would allow people to get out more,
Oh, yeah.
especially in the winter months.
But honestly, no more than what they're doing already. I mean, all you have to do is pick up the phone, they'll come pick you up.
At your door.
I mean, it's really, they're just utilizing more federal funds and finding out ways to spend it by doing these routes. I mean,
Some people like doing the fixed routes because they
Right.
can just kind of ride around. They get the opportunity to socialize, and you know, it's from working at a transit center. I've seen where it's a very social gathering. It's like being a part of a club or being, you know, it's very social. They get on the bus, they socialize, they get to see their friends, they get to,
Let's
you
write
know.
in Somerset and have a cup of coffee, and then we'll get on the bus and come
we'll go
back.
down to New Lex, we'll have lunch, and then we'll go down to, you know.
I can see more and more people
That's what it is.
using it if it's
readily
if
available.
it's a continuous route.
I use transit to go to the Mayor's Partnerships meeting in Athens. I call them up, schedule it, and they come pick me up and bring me home.
Yeah.
I don't even drive anymore down there. Just, using the service that's available, and
Yeah. And
Might
it
as
doesn't
well.
cost you anything. Well, it costs us. It's tax dollars at work, but
it costs me $10 each way.
a
You
direct
can't drive
cost.
down there and back for $20.
I like the idea of public transportation because
Yeah.
I spent years and years and years with my Aunt Rosemary. And before I drove, she had to beg, borrow, and steal to get a ride any place you needed to go. So, you know, and until it got so bad, she even bought a car and maintained insurance and license on it just so somebody could drive her wherever she needed to go. So,
Right.
yeah,
No,
that is kind of nice.
I think it's a good deal.
that loop needs to be figured out though, because there's a lot of things that go on over here, and she didn't mention stopping at the pharmacy. She didn't mention saying coming here. What would be the biggest thing coming here? Paying your water bill on the 20th of every month.
I think if they get electric
Instead of
vehicles-
walking from Village Green down, or from
Right.
from all parts of town over. Village Green probably hasn't paid the water bill.
Put a stamp on it.
It's in the rent, but
I'd say
if Billy wants to come down and pay the water bill, get on the bus.
Said put a stamp on it.
Or put a stamp on it, yeah.
Well, I'd say if we're going
I
to use
just-
electric vehicles, then the trouble problem with that whole scenario is getting to your destination and having to walk home.
Well, I read a story the other day that the battery issue and the lithium and all the elements that they're using up to make these batteries, they're kind of second guessing this electric thing.
They're not going to have the heat in the winter. I mean,
Well, they're
Yeah.
second guessing the electric because of the
that'll take
elements
from
and the
the
cost
battery,
of
the
it.
heater.
The cost in entitled to when that battery goes bad in 5 to 7 years.
Oh, yeah,
It's
that's 18 to 20,000.
Yeah.
$7,000 to $12,000.
I thought
in
every
cost.
car is what they
This
were.
one,
And,
it's $7,000.
Plus, if
Pay
you're in an
attention.
accident, most of the time, if you're in an accident and that car catches on
Oh,
fire,
yeah.
it's going to catch on fire again.
Oh yeah, it's going to toast.
Or it goes
Oh.
up quick.
Or
Or
it
cell
goes up
phone,
quick.
somebody's
Yeah.
pocket, them lithium batteries. just
What's
go up.
happening is the lithium batteries are catching fire a second time, a lot of times on the rollbacks.
Jeez.
And they're burning up on the rollbacks.
Electric's going to play a part, but I don't know that it's going to be the dominant feature in 10 or 15 years like some of them are thinking. Some of them are saying that hydrogen is going to be the propellant soon.
There's a new salt battery in development right now that's better and more efficient than lithium. It's a salt battery. Now, I can't tell you how it's made, but I just heard about it on vacation from a guy from Cincinnati. It's an engineer that was with us. He said you have to keep up on it. I haven't checked up though, but he says it's engineering.
There's been technology out there since the 30s. John McGackey, remember John McGackey?
Yeah.
He was chair of the Republican Party, but he worked at Crooksville schools for, I think he was a little older, and he was talking about some of the patents that were out for alternative fuels, like alternative diesel fuel, and it was all natural stuff. The oil companies and the car companies bought them up and buried them. That was clear back in 1938, 38, 39.
They're probably
Ford.
still doing it, Bill.
They're burying the
What do
technology
you think?
that's already
Gas was
there.
$4 a gallon.
Gas companies.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's gas companies.
Gas companies are buying them up if they're profitable because then they hold and store the technology.
Then they just bury it, put it in a drawer somewhere, and say no one's ever going to see that again.
Oh, that only cost me $10 million. I'll make that back real easy.
We'll shelf
That's
that.
what's happening. I mean, even in America and probably elsewhere as well.
I'm hungry.
Definitely in America.
I still don't
That was
think
what
anything
John
that's gonna be
McGackey was talking about.
reliable.
That's a pretty interesting
oil.
conversation.
I seen him about 3 weeks ago. Seen him out.
You see him again, time I said hi.
Yeah.
Good man.
Okay.
And Bill-
What about the salt bin here?
If you're getting water to run a car in Crooksville, you're still not going to be able to do it because you ain't going to be able to afford it here either.
What?
I said, if you're running a car on water, Bill, you won't be able to afford it here either in Crooksville.
Well, the calcium would eat it up.
Well, yeah.
There was just alternative fuels that are out there
Oh, yeah.
that are buried right now.
I guarantee you for tanks, aircraft, government will still be using oil and gas, and we'll be subjected to being stuck on the road in a friggin' electric car.
Okay, salt bins. So the mayor and I have spoke about it. We need to get the salt out of where it's currently at. So we're going to need a place to put it. Mark and I talked about it today because we got the contract for the salt for the upcoming year. I've got that sent over to Jan. We didn't need any of the salt that we ordered this year. I think Mark said they only had to salt 3 times this year.
Yeah.
So Mark and I spent some time talking about where would be the best place to put it. We threw around a couple different places, but in talking to him, we need it to be close to the service garage.
Yeah.
That way, it's just so much more feasible. It's easier if one guy's in, you're not transporting vehicles. So right now, the fenced-in area behind the gas pumps, we talked about most of that is either scrap or garbage or can be relocated. So we were talking about possibly cleaning that area up for a salt bin, and that way we could get the salt moved. It's still really close. As for prices, we haven't made it that far because everywhere you have to put in all your information to get any sort of quote, any sort of information. So I wanted to bring it to council, let you know, because I know you and I spoke about it. It's a work in progress. It's something that definitely needs to be done. We were looking at different types of buildings. There's the ones, for lack of a better term, that have the tarp over them, sort of like what Christie Catalytics has.
ODOT's went to
Just
those.
on a much smaller scale.
Sure.
Maybe to hold 175 to 200 ton of salt, and that way we're prepared. So that's what we were kind of looking at. Anybody have any thoughts? Or
Those are your cheaper
Tom and I had
Just-
spoken.
it's going to be a lot cheaper.
to
Yeah.
go with the.
Tom and I had spoken about going to the left of the wash bay on the existing structure over there and building another lean-to off of it, kind of like what we've got at the Elliott building now, coming out and expanding out a little wider. You know, not only for the salt supply, but you know, if you needed to stick your Bobcat in there while you were, you know, loading, unloading, or the bucket on the backhoe or something. But you know, that would probably be utilizing one side of the wash bay. You'd only have to build 3 sides at that point. You'd probably save a little money, but I like the idea of going over and using the what we call the old salvage yard.
I think one, it would be good because
We
it
can
would
clean
get us to
all
get it cleaned
Yeah.
up. It's
Yeah.
going to look so much better.
And I think we're done with fire hydrants at this point. I know we were holding on to them because scrap was low, but scrap's up, and we should
Yep.
probably just get rid of that shit.
Yeah,
Let's go.
that's what the guys and I have been talking about, kind of waiting until
I'm in favor of it.
spring just to, for weather
Clean it up.
purposes, and I think it would look so much
I mean,
better.
Go haul to the scrap yard.
What
and
you
make-
get out of
make
it
a
will
few
help pay
bucks.
for the building.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And we've utilized all the good fire hydrants over there for the projects that were spearheaded. The park project in the park, that was an awesome project that the guys in the office here and Tom, you know, worked on and done and painted them up and beautified that section in there. We saved
Saved a ton of money
Oh,
on
10
guardrail.
ten or $15,000 in them concrete bollards that you would have had to spend and stick in the ground to protect
yeah.
somebody from running into that building. So
And they still, the paint's held up. I think they still look pretty great.
They do.
It did.
They do.
Could I have one for my yard?
Well, sure,
It'll
My
cost
dog
you.
can piss on it.
sure. Just have to put a sign on it, not for, you know.
Then maybe he won't piss on my shirt.
Don't want to mess with the fire department, have them roll up in your front yard and go hook onto it.
Oh, gosh.
I'll put pee here, Raven.
But as soon as I get some price quotes rolling in, I'll keep you updated on what I hear about that. And
Yeah, let's get her done. Long time coming, and I know they've been pretty generous with that over there. But you know, when we sold the building to PCC, they kind of said they wanted the entire building of that, and let us. It wasn't an endless use on the end of it, you know,
Yeah.
a time frame. So the sooner the better we get that out of there and get off that property. So.
hopefully by next workshop, I'd like to have some quotes. But
If
I'm
we have a
kind
flood come in over there, is it gonna ruin this all?
I mean, if it's up, if you would build a structure against the service garage, the service barn's high enough and elevated enough, I don't think you're going to have an issue with that. I don't know the flood elevation over to the salvage yard. Compared to that, it does kind of slope down a little, and whatnot. But honestly, there was 3 foot of water in the Elliott building in 2004. So where the salt's at now, she got wet.
Yeah. Just getting
That's a good
a
question.
if it gets.
But it is a good idea to have that checked. But I think it's out of the floodplain a little more if we have it closest to the building.
Ghost.
Because the old fire station was built, the elevation floor was, what, Fred? 4 inches above the floodplain?
Yeah, something like that. It wasn't much.
It wasn't much, but it was barely there, so we could pay a lesser amount in flood insurance. We still covered it, but instead of
$3,700 a year in insurance, that saved just that little bit.
Yeah.
Raising it.
Yep.
Do we have a bill somewhere we could
Just for that one building.
go in the stockyard a little bit to elevate it?
Look into it.
Good.
I mean,
Yeah.
why not elevate it a little bit?
But if
Couple
you
feet.
But if you could save money by building a 3-sided building on the side of it, you didn't have to worry about it.
But if you look at, like, even that Elliott building where that salt's at, that salt's eating through the side of the market. Dana showed me that, where just over time with the city, the salt,
Yeah.
it's deteriorating that structure pretty badly right now.
You would have to sheath it. You'd have
Put
to.
something over.
You'd have to treat wood, treat wood, plywood it up.
It seems like those tarp buildings are kind of the way everybody's going. I think they're
Yeah.
cost effective and they're efficient, and they say they're for salt, so I would think that
Yeah.
they wouldn't
Yeah,
eat
they're
it
all,
through
they're
it.
all, yeah, galvanized. All the frames galvanized so they won't rust. They will over time, but.
Yeah.
I know that one is anyway. One over there.
Yep.
And I don't remember who they got it from though. Your husband might,
I was
but I
gonna say I
don't.
could probably find out. But I'd like to get as many quotes as possible, and that way we have an idea of what we're dealing with and looking at, and see what the wait time on some of them are gonna be, because
Yeah, remember that one over there is really tall, but it's also 1 8-foot poured walls.
Yeah, right.
I got it up 8 foot so forklifts wouldn't run through the sides of it.
Sure.
So, they're.
Yeah, you're bashing the concrete wall and not sticking a fork through the
Through the
tarp.
Tarp, yeah.
no, that'd be awful.
Can I ask one favor tonight for about, it's probably gonna take 15 minutes, but that's to key on the computer, turn it on here, and get the thing on, that project profiles for Buckeye Hills. Let everybody see what it all entails and try to figure out what we want to fill them out for. What projects.
But do we wanna wait and see if we're getting any of this money before we go into what's next?
That's up, I don't want to wait, but that's up to council's decision if they want to wait. The
I mean, I'm glad to
the
pull it up.
deadline's
It's-
March 31st. That's the only thing, for the submitting them profiles. If not, then you have to wait till next year to submit them again. And those people that's down there has them filled out the way that I understand it is. If what projects we don't get in the community grant that we applied for downtown revitalization and all that, those people that already have them project profiles get the first dibs on any other funding that come up that will fund their project. Well, I'd like to be included in that in case we don't get any. The only reason Tom Johnson got money over there for that building, that makerspace building, is because he had a shovel-ready project. He had everything engineered, and they know what they're going to do with the building. It's planned out. They're just waiting on funding, and they got it. $3 million. Poof. He's right in there. Out of the 17 million, Perry County got $3 million and went to Junction City or Somerset Builders Club, one building to redo it. And that's what's happening if you're planning ahead and have a plan, Like, to me, my shovel-ready project would like to be the sidewalk going out toward, over the Village Green that way, along Industrial Drive, but I don't know. We got a lot that we need, but what do we want to plan for? What's a priority plan? Project priority, I guess you'd call it. be okay.
Got choked on the slobbers.
We've already got project profiles submitted on this though, right?
I didn't hear you.
We already have the project profile submitted on this, or they
The way Kate said that everything's done, this is something different other than, yeah, the Appalachian grant, community grant, it's all, we're just waiting to see. But this is something different through Appalachian Regional Commission.
ARC.
It's additional monies.
Yeah.
Funding.
but the way she explained it there is that
It would
that's
probably
already
have-
trying to plug them into those anyway.
It would probably have a 26% match if you got.
There'll be match, guarantee you guys. I'm not lying to you up front. There'll be a match. But we got money in capital projects. And that's, we just have to, what's the plan? And do you want to fill out one of them? I say we do it, but I'm just one vote here, We can, but the 31st, March 31st is deadline. So,
I don't care. If we're gonna do it, let's get at it though.
Turn it on.
if you want to look at, see what it's like, I think it's just 3 pages. And it tells you what you can fill them out for. I looked at it briefly before I come tonight down here.
Do you want me to come over and pound on your back?
Just knock me out.
You don't feel any better though after you quit smoking?
Take a little bit.
The screen's on.
Somebody said it
I
might
can't
take a
tell
year. I
from
said,
here.
Jesus Christ,
It won't take more than that. I can still pick one up and smoke it.
That's all.
It don't smell good to me.
The remote for the TV. This one? Yeah.
I want to trip.
I went to Buckeye Hill's website and just put project planning on. And I'm not tech savvy enough to run that. There's a search bar up there somewhere. Maybe tools and resources, programs and services. Shit.
It's right there, grants and funding.
Yeah, no, that's a thing you fill out. Man, I can't even see that. Up there at that top where you put it in, clear at the top,
Mm-hmm.
can we do as Buckeye Hills dot, what does it say?
Or
And then / project plan or project profiles. I think that project profile though. Profiles. How come that?
There's a search bar.
Project profile, yeah.
did not match any documents.
You're kidding me.
What's under programs and services?
It's buckeyehills.org/project-profiles.
Must be easier to use on the phone, seems.
Yeah. What's that again?
buckeyehills.org/project-profiles.
.org?
Yes.
Dot
Slash.
slash
Project.
project.
Yeah.
I was putting in projects.
And then dash profiles. Gotta have a dash in there.
Okay. Gotta learn computer lingo.
And then we can dash on out of here.
Okay. Okay, there's the programs, or I can't read it from here, but can you guys see that? But if you scroll on down, it'll give you the form to fill out. Tells you what you can apply for there, then the guidelines and forms is below.
Matching funds are required for the program.
Yep.
Applicants are encouraged to leverage existing workforce programs in conjunction with resources requested from Buckeye Hills.
And there's the form right there somewhere. There it is.
Perry County. ARC, I think, limits their grant monies to $250, if I remember right. We got a couple ARC funds before. Waterline project got $250.
I don't know. I didn't have time to read about it. It had a limit on it. You might be right. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. It's under the tools and funds, grants and funding. And I think it's right there. Can I make that bigger?
Push that, see it. There we go.
Regional Commission. Funding's up to $250. If you can see that,
Looks like
it's up there in the right-hand corner.
I can't see it from here, but it say 250.
Yeah, it says up to
Up to
250,000.
Shoot.
Alternate stormwater infrastructure loan program through OD is up to $5 million. It's open cycle, so there's no, but it's a loan, so you're going to have a 26% match. If you were going to do stormwater projects, that's where to go for it. But that's a loan. That's not grant. Of course, your standard CDBG grant loans for water and wastewater projects, anywhere from $100,000 to $750,000 in grants.
Those are CDBGs ranked by the commissioners.
Yes. And another couple years it'll be our turn.
Yep.
Loan.
Buckeye Hills, we put in for a sidewalk from the bridge to Shriver's, didn't we?
Yes.
I think so.
That was Buckeye Hills. We used the Mayor's Partnership for Progress for Main Street downtown because there were several other entities that were grouped in that, kind of clustered for those dollars, and hopefully as a collective,
Yeah.
we would score more than. We'll see. Yeah.
I think they were selected too. The Mayor's Partnership was selected, but I don't know for how much.
Did they designate projects or did they just designate money?
No,
They just designated groups to get money.
like the ones that if you go on there, the Buckeye Hills today listed. That's why I found out about Somerset. You know, they listed $17 million, over $17 million worth of projects for Buckeye Hills region, and Perry County is one project that got selected. And I thought, oh, what was that? And when I checked, it was a Somerset Builders Club. It was $3 million to fix that building.
What building is that?
The one they bought right on the square. Their Builders Club, they call it.
Which one did they buy?
It's a
Which one did they buy?
You know where the hardware store is?
Yeah.
That building there. It runs clear over to where it meets the other one. And the hardware store is renting off the city now. They're paying rent to stay there. And they own the other half of the building, and the whole upstairs and that stuff. That's what the $3 million is going to be due to fix it up. But they already had plans. I mean, I don't know how they done it, but Tom done it. But he worked his magic. Of course, he's
on the board of the
everything.
mayors.
He's everywhere, huh?
Where did the money go? Where did you say the money was allocated from? The mayor.
It come from 17 million that Buckeye Hills was awarded, over 17 million for projects for the region. This is the first round one.
At 17 million, is that what used to be 500 million?
This is probably coming out of that 500 million, yeah. This is round one, round two's coming up. That's what we're waiting on, I think. Because round one, the way I understand it, was shovel-ready projects. You know, things that's ready to go, you just don't have the funding. Well, we need to plan and everything on projects we got for downtown revitalization. We don't have no money to plan all that. It's going to take a bunch of money just for planning.
Yeah, but we don't own any buildings down there.
No, we don't own any buildings, but infrastructure, you know,
They own the building.
Didn't one of the local airports get like 35 million out of that mess to
They put in Perry County Airport project was 35 million. Yep, that's what the commissioners put in for that project, to extend the runway.
We'll buy a couple of planes to go with it.
Nope, it's all union labor, buddy.
Side note, the East School sign is down. It's in the Beaumont building.
Well, I was going to just
All right,
ask
great.
you where they put it at.
That's good.
We didn't have a lot of options, so the Beaumont building was the
Closest.
best bet.
Yeah.
We need to get an estimate on getting that repaired too. From where the non-insured crashed through the wall.
Did they have uninsured motorist funding that we could use to pay for that?
They didn't have insurance at all.
Didn't have any at all.
Uh-uh.
And we didn't have insurance on the building.
Nope.
Huh?
We do now.
We do
We
now,
hadn't
but we
had
never had
insurance on the
insurance.
building since we bought it. Never had insurance on it.
Jeez, man.
So
Never knew that.
Is it mostly structural or facade damage?
Blew the door off of it,
Yeah, I know that.
and the wall got kind of tore up. It needs patched back in there.
Because I was speaking to somebody that told me that the dad and the father who has construction experience would be amenable to doing some of that work under the village supervision.
Did we file a lawsuit?
Not if we didn't have insurance.
I mean, it's property damage, and we know who did it, who the responsible party is, but spending for, we'll get blood out of a turnip.
I think our guys are gonna be able to do a lot of the work to get it
I mean, it should be on
taken
principle,
care of.
you know what I mean? But you're not gonna get monetarily compensated.
A lot of it was waiting around to hear back from the insurance because there was a lot of back and forth with the insurance company, so.
Yeah.
But don't take as long as that hole in that
I would,
blacktop.
yeah, well, I'll reserve that statement for later. All right, anything else? Anything else?
Nope.
So did we figure out what we was doing there? If Fred wanted to waste 15 minutes?
He got her.
I didn't want to waste any 15 minutes, but we know what it is, right?
Put in for grant money up to $250. You can put in for grant money with the regional commission for up to $250,000.
I would. I'd file every project, even if we got 250. 250 is better than zero. At least we get some engineering money to, get the engineering work done, some of it, on what the projects is. That's a start.
We have the engineering done on the sewer project going down China Street.
Yeah, it's in there.
Stormwater.
Does it have to ever be redone or renewed or?
Well, it needs to be updated.
Yeah, it needs updated.
Cost today versus what it was 12 years ago when we had it done is probably going to be way high. That
The
project,
thing, I looked at those, and there's two different. What do I want? What's the word I want to use? There's 2 pages with 2 different designs on it of how they're going to run the drainage on China Street, and I don't know which one was the right one. Tom had made some changes, but I don't know where the newer one is updated and that he was going to go with that. I don't know. But they're in there, you can look at them. I've already been in and looked at them a couple of weeks ago. So
that would run from roughly the Burley Run Bridge there, all the way down to the alley between Hall Street and Taylor Street.
Right.
That would take care of phase 2.
How much was it when you looked at it, Fred, when we did it the first time, cost-wise?
I don't know. I can pull it out and look.
Oh, you don't have to. I was just curious.
It's laying in there. I don't remember.
You can double it.
Probably.
Yeah.
Seriously, man.
Double. 12 years, you can probably double it.
It's been every bit of 10 or 12 years since we had it done.
But on these, back to the profiles, whatever we put in for, my opinion is, if it's $250,000 limit, we can use up to that to do the planning on several different projects. We got, we got the match. It's up to council to decide what projects we think, want Lacey to put in for. All of them that we downtown, or I don't know. Any suggestions?
Always phase 2 always comes to mind on that China. And then sidewalks always come to mind. I'd love to see sidewalks in this town. better. I mean, really, those are the areas where we're glaringly lacking the sidewalks.
I agree with that.
I mean, as far as our paving goes, we do the paving according to what we get.
Yeah, it's a different pot of money, but, yeah. I know Baker's Alley needs it bad now, on at least that, up to that curve.
Yep.
They took the tree down, the delivery truck couldn't make it up there, I heard, so guys had to go out and cut the tree down. But there's, North State Street, the whole thing, man, it's getting bad. The whole thing from Main all the way out.
Yep. Hope to get it scored next year.
Another thing, the Mohegan and Delaware Drive,
They're getting done this year.
sewer, stormwater drainage project, that needs engineered. How they want to do that, that's
Before we
Well,
can
it's
do
private
anything,
property and
Yeah.
somebody's gonna have to give us an easement.
every one of them's going to have to give an easement or it ain't going to happen.
Right.
that's what it comes down to is the easement. I mean,
Yeah.
we banged it around.
Oh, yeah.
Or
We're still waiting on Cherry Lane for easements.
Yep.
Yep.
Here.
2 years.
2 years. I was
It's
gonna
going,
say,
it's
go
going on
over here.
the third year.
Yeah, but it's years since they've been trying to get Sapple to sign an easement.
no, we've been doing it all down here.
It's,
Over 2, I'd say.
At least, no more than that.
Easements are hard.
they are.
Well, you gotta get everybody to
You
agree.
gotta get everybody to agree.
There's always that one.
Tracy said there was an applicant for the police.
Hmm?
Tracy said there was an applicant for the police.
He's not here tonight. I was thinking he'd be here in Brant. Ralph had to go see his dad. His dad's not well.
Who's that?
Ralph had to go see his dad. His dad's not well. They had a little minor incident over the weekend yesterday in Squad 216, and we were cited for it. So that insurance claim was filed today. Coming back from the hospital or from the ER on 669, turning on the 345, we nicked a car. The driver was taken and given drug tests, so forth. I mean, it's just things happen. Anything else? We're adjourned.